a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. And today is no exception, because today we will be talking about Fear the Walking Dead's third episode of Season 6, entitled Alaska. Have a fun episode for you. Some full 2 hours full of lots of things to say. First off the bat, happy Halloween. I am dressed up as Dale, but unfortunately I trimmed my beard a little earlier, last week I think it was. So I would have been more apropos. I also don't have any eyebrows, in case you hadn't noticed. So that's also a problem. But I'm here with you, Halloween evening, All Hallows Eve. And we're going to have a special episode for you. And first order of housekeeping, we do have the unedited episodes immediately after we record. Pay what you want for them, whatever you want. You don't have to buy us a coffee to actually get access to these wonderful, wonderful episodes ahead of time, and some of our insider chatter between each other. So that's a cool little development that we've done over the last couple weeks or so. Second of all, if you buy us a coffee during the stream, what is a coffee? Well, it's a way to support the show, get access to unedited episodes, and join us during our recording sessions so that you can feature in the episodes with your little insights and your wonderful musings. So yes, buy us a coffee during the stream, and it'll be there in this video forever during this premiere and thereafter. That's ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. We mentioned it a couple of times on the show, unfortunately. But yes, and as always, always like, comment, share, subscribe if you feel like it. And as long as we're at it, ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and an eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. But if you'd like to write more, let us know. And without further ado, I will present to you this episode, because you love it, and I love you too. And I'll see you in the chat.
Somebody else now.
So, maybe with that in mind, are you ready? Since when do I wait?
Right? This is the first time you've asked me if I was ready. You usually try to catch me off guard.
Well, I just, I'm trying to be more considerate, because we are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. When's the last time we gave everybody news? Every now and again we throw it in the episode, right? But
well, opinions are news, right? So we're sharing our opinions.
Yeah, exactly. And live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Right? Nothing important, though.
It's Charity's joke. Yeah, no, nothing really. I mean, no, usually in the off season, we usually just make time to just connect and update people on what's going on in the Walking Dead universe, but not much lately. I mean, look, it's a lot. There's a lot lately, but I guess it's just a lot of content. Mm-hmm. There's so much content being thrown in our faces these days. It's hard to really pick up on the news. I mean, God, what the crazy part is, and this is going to stay in the episode, is that once December starts to roll around and the shows start to drop off, there's only 7 episodes of Fear, Sharon D says.
In the first half, I hope you mean? Yeah,
I thought they cranked out the 8, but maybe they're trying to crank out the 8th one. Oh, okay. She's saying only 7 filmed. If I were to wager anything, I think they're really trying hard to get that 8th episode cranked out, and I think they can do it. We're only 3 in right now, in 5 weeks. You can definitely get post done for sure. But I don't know. It's 1 episode. We'll see. But what I was going to say was, once that 8th, now 7th, so maybe it's not December after all. Maybe that Thanksgiving will be the break. And so if that's the case, I get to start having a life again.
For a little bit.
Right. But B, we can start really, first of all, we have to start posting the remaining parts of episode 100. That's going to be something. We have that in the can already, meaning it's all been filmed. It just needs to be chopped up. And and you know, nicely 1 hour videos, hopefully. But yeah, and then I can also start, I don't know, maybe by the time the 7th episode rolls around, I can actually update the blog, which you've been graciously giving me notes for, but I just haven't had the time to actually sit down and do it. And Percolation Nation is coming up, and that's not too difficult, but it's just another blog that has to be updated. I don't know. So anyway, I don't know if all this is going to stay in. I just don't know. But it's just the idea that people need to know something about what's going on right here with Squawking Dead is that we're not used to having to do 2 episodes a week. It's something we're not used to doing. I don't think the Walking Dead universe has ever, I can't remember the last time we've had to do that except for like that Fear the Walking Dead crossover, which was rough, but we managed to somehow squeeze 2 episodes out in the same week. You know, the one for 8/16 and the one for Fear the Walking Dead's episodes 1, and then we had to go right away into 2 because we got that out on the Saturday. I don't know if we didn't go live even because we weren't going live yet until the mid-season of that Fear the Walking Dead season 4. So we did 1, and then I think we did 2 and 3 together.
Okay.
And I think that was, yes, if I'm not mistaken, that was call and response because we fell so far behind. We had to get both episodes, and then I had to do it in such a way that, you know, because we didn't have time to get together. So I had to film the whole thing, both episodes straight through. And then Carol did her response, and I interjected some of her commentary into my own. So,
oh yes, I remember that one. Yep.
Just to speed that along, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then we could finally catch up, and then that was great. I mean, look, you got to find ways of see. This is like the experimentation phase. Like we were doing pretty well. Like even in season 8, when we were doing season 8, I was interjecting scenes from the show, like at the beginning and the end, like doing some cool things with production. But yeah, fuck that. Ain't nobody got time for that anymore. Right. Although for some reason, like people really responded to that, you know, and I'm wondering if I should do that again. It's just time, you know. If I honestly, if you guys gave me like a lot of money, I would quit my job and do that shit like crazy. I would give you guys so much. I mean, I'm already trying to introduce, like, inject, like, screenshots, so that is something, but, you know, if I had to take in whole scenes, I would want to give it the right care and, like, layovers and transitions and, you know, maybe putting them in little picture-in-picture boxes and stuff like that, or, I don't know, maybe I'll do that here right now, who knows, but, like, I would do so much to increase the quality of the show, you know, but, you know, and that was so cool, like, we get that last scene on episode 16 with Rick and Carl walking away. That was a really cool touch. I like. And then, starting with Father Gabriel, you gave me so much before you gave me so much. Remember that quote in the chapel when he could finally see again? And Charity's like, "Shut up and take my money." Like, I am. But I'll say I have to say something. Yeah. It's nice to see that we have some money in the bank now.
That's good.
Some of other people's money instead of me, because I just had to inject 54 for coffee today, and it was my money. Yes, it was my money, but it was nice to see money in the bank. That was, some of it was mine, and some of it was everybody else's.
Good. That's always a good feeling.
You know, it's a weird feeling.
I want to show you what I got today before we get into the episode. Maybe a couple weeks ago, ordered some little teddy bear and buddies from my friend Iron Angel Creations, and they showed up today. So here's my new princess bear.
Whoa, it's huge.
Right?
Look at you.
They are so big. They are so soft and like squishy. They're so snuggleable. They really are. Like even her goggles and everything. So from now until November 1st, you can get Princess from Iron Angel Creations for only $45. She's normally $60. So
cue the lower third title that's going to come up in the post.
And she does all kinds of stuff, not just Walking Dead stuff, but obviously I'm drawn to the TWD. But these are a couple of other little guys too. So a little voodoo doll.
Oh, sweet.
And a little skelemerm.
'Tis the season to be creepy.
These little guys are 20, and they're all hand stitched.
Holy crap! 20. Yeah. So the princess one was it 40 again?
45 from now until November 1st. They are awesome. So definitely hit her up and do it before November 1st so you can get awesome deals. Oh my God, Sharon, I am absolutely blown away by your videos.
Sharon just posted up her second question. She's been doing this post Fear the Walking Dead Q&A where she asked the fans 3 specific questions with a bonus question from Celtic TSO Thomas O'Mara. Definitely follow @Blazy Gardener. It's exactly how it sounds. BLAZY Sibling-esque, so that you can get notified on Sunday night, right after Fear the Walking Dead airs, right between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond. And so you can get those 3 or maybe 4 questions. She may cut your answers up into a conglomerate of answers, a cacophony of voices, telling everybody what their answers to those questions. And they're usually like, kind of like binary answers usually, but you can explain yourself. Sharon, the way she's been cutting them up is pretty cool. It shows like the myriad of responses, and it's just really, really well done. And she did a great job last week. I have no doubts that she'll do a great job this week. Although I answered this week. I didn't answer last week because there was just no time for me. But I answered this week, so I may screw up your flow.
I will be admitting I just haven't gotten it done yet. I need time to think about some of these questions.
I needed time to think about one of the answers.
Yeah.
We were talking just before we went on, and hey, in case you're wondering, in case you want to be with us just before we go on, technically, because of the pre-show, why don't you buy us a coffee? And you can join us in the chat, so you can hear what we've been saying before we go on. What am I talking about? ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. Follow us there. Set up an account, follow us there. If you want, you can buy us a coffee, but when you do, you get 30 days of access to our behind-the-scenes footage, unedited episodes, and you get to be a part of the chat as we record. And if you subscribe to a coffee a month or more, I ain't gonna stop you. The party just keeps on rolling. You won't lose access to any of these things. And a new thing we've been doing is we've been offering up our unedited episodes in a pay what you want model. So you can pay whatever you want. It's kind of like our own AMC premiere, only way less expensive. You get the unedited, and you get them unedited. Gosh, could you imagine if you got the unedited episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, Walking Dead World Beyond? Oh my God. But yes, we give them to you, with just a little bit of your support, commercial free.
Yes, and as Sharon points out, it actually shows up on time.
yeah, it actually shows up right after we record this lately, which has been great. So if you spend $3 in our coffee shop, which is what it's called, you will automatically have the ability to see unedited content and join us in the chats for 30 days at least. So it's a great deal. It's a great introductory way to support the show and to maybe gain access to our exclusive content. So I think it's a great idea. And the charity says, and pretty good customer service too. Yeah, I'm always here. I'm trapped in the box. I can't get out.
Except they actually live in this box right here that you see them in.
Yeah, how does this show get money if I'm in this box? So yeah, we're talking about Fear the Walking Dead's 3rd episode of this season 6, entitled? It's so entitled. And it you know what? It's entitled, and it deserves all its entitlement. And it's called Alaska. Rachel, what are your impressions of this episode?
I can't tell you the last time I saw an episode that I didn't enjoy. But I did. I really liked it. A little bit of a character change in Al this episode. Not quite as much as I guess wanted to see based on the last 2 episodes. We see these characters going through huge character changes. Hers wasn't quite as big, and it brought me to tears.
Now, would you say, because a lot of the reviewers have been saying it is the best episode of Fear the Walking Dead thus far.
Out of 3?
Yeah, I mean, still,
3 episodes.
Or does it just keep getting better and better, Yeah,
I guess it depends on what you're looking for in an episode. I mean, episode 1 was very bloody, and I loved that. So this one was more, sweet and romantic and plaguey. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have to have some blech in the episodes, but I guess it just depends on what you're looking for in the episode. I really liked them all. I don't know if I would call this one the best so far.
It is funny how we can categorize them by bloody, feces-y, and sticky, and the last one being plaguey and smushy.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah, you know what I mean? Sharon says, I expected to like it more, but it really just didn't grab me like the last 2. Interesting. And I really can't put my finger on why. Well, I mean, I can probably answer for you, kind of based on something you said to me earlier today, which was, like, you kind of didn't really, first of all, you didn't really care about the Sherry and Dwight story. And that makes sense for hardcore Fear the Walking Dead watchers in general, but especially for you, because you didn't really, you hadn't initially followed their journey, and you binged the shit out of The Walking Dead in the last few months. Yeah, she says maybe. But it's possible that maybe you're not as invested in the Al story as a lot of Fear the Walking Dead folks, by the way, aren't really about. Al is not the usual favorite character. It's like the John Dories usually, sometimes the Junes, obviously. Like Sharon D over here, over there. I mean, who else? Definitely not a lot of Charlie fans, but definitely a lot of like old school Alicia Strand fans, you know, but not as much Althea. She kind of falls like in, you know, outside the scope of like new people versus old people, you know, OGs versus new Gs. So Sharon says, I think I also really wanted Al to go with her because it would open up so many stories. And she also says, where's June? Who's Deanna? Yes, she's echoing what I said later, which is people hate her and her camera. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing.
I think a lot of people didn't like Al's character because she at first refused to get involved. You know, we saw her a lot of times just standing there instead of helping out.
For like 1.5 seasons, basically.
Yeah. She was a hard character to like.
No, I think I liked her the most. I mean, outside of Morgan, I think she was one of my favorite characters when she came on. Really? Yeah, for sure. I didn't
dislike her, but she wasn't my favorite. I mean, I'm starting to like her a lot more now, but
I like odd ducks. That's the thing. I really do like odd ducks. They make me think. Like they make my mind spin at 1,000,000 miles a second. It's really weird. Like out of place characters. Like you could say the same thing for Wes, but Wes to me was just more funny. Like it's just funny because they were us. Literally us going, okay, like you people are weird. No, I don't want to step in. Oh gosh, now I'm in your story. I don't know what to do now. So that's funny to me. But Al seems like this weird person who's in the center of things. Like she's the only person in this universe who hasn't relinquished, and maybe a little bit more today, or not today, but this episode. But like she up until now, how many seasons? 2 and change now, where she just never had to relinquish her past at all, and still maintain some sort of growth. So she's anchored in some way, like tethered to the past in terms of how she operates, but then she still can manage to grow and find love and, you know, maintain her camera, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, and Sharon with the perhaps unpopular, perhaps popular opinion, or maybe it's because I preferred hard ass Al and not mopey Al. Mopey Maggie Grace versus badass guns coming out of the top. Be like, you want to mess with me? I got layers, bitch. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like the myriad. I like the fact that now she has range, a little bit of range. Like it's not like we didn't see that before. Obviously, we saw it in
the end of everything.
Yes.
Sharon came in with the answer.
And I'm like,
everything.
And I was like thinking of it. I'm like, yeah, I know it was a quiz because she says you're the prettiest thing since the end of everything. Yes, exactly. Every season of Fear the Walking Dead, at least like these in the last 4 or 5, whatever, they have that 1 or 2 episodes per year that just stand out. Like Laura, Close Your Eyes. End of Everything was definitely one of them, like these standalone bottle episodes sometimes. But this is kind of, I mean, like, it feels like every episode that we've gotten so far is kind of like that, though. And I'm glad they've not been strict about, like, the types of anthology episodes that we're going to see, because they open up with Morgan now. It's like every episode does feature a little bit of Morgan, tying each episode together.
I like that.
Yeah, because as we see in the beginning of the episode, we're opening up with a smiley, happy Morgan.
Right.
You know, which is weird, and I'm loving it. Smiling and laughing. Yeah, Morgan is the common thread running through the anthology, Sharon D says. Who cut Morgan's hair but Daniel? And you know it's Daniel.
Of course it is. There's no question.
What a generous man, too. Cutting his hair, giving him jam from Ginny's private collection. Which gets Rachel to side-eye because she knows who makes the jam. She knows Ginny's making the jam. The Jim Jam. It's just like, how? You know, I think Morgan is frequenting Paradise Ridge, which is basically where Daniel's stationed out of. You know, Ginny's not specifically there. In the opening shot, you see baby Morgan in the very crib that Morgan sees in the first episode with the mobile, with the horses, the carousel mobile. So I thought that was kind of cool, nice touch. And then also, I don't know if you noticed this, but on top of all the plethora of food and clothes that he happens to give Rachel, if you look around the place, it's pretty decorated. And before it looked remember the nativity scene that we were picturing in our mind? No, she has drapes.
Yep.
You know, it's really cool to like see this place all decorated, nice. You know, like they live in a home. Oh, it's like Michonne and Carl getting the bassinet, Sharon D says. Yeah. Morgan hesitates before he allows himself to carry baby Morgan. He decides to not do it. But what do you think is going on there?
I don't know. The only I wrote down really, Morgan, your arm's not strong enough to hold a baby, but you can go out and do some woodwork and swing that blade that weighs more than the baby.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't feel like he's ready yet.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and Sharon D saying, didn't somebody say something to him about holding a baby again? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was on The Walking Dead too, yeah.
Okay.
So Sharon D says. Yeah, and I can't remember who it was.
Sounds like something Rick would say. Don't worry, Morgan. You'll hold a baby again someday.
Yeah. Or like Jesus, maybe, or you know what I mean?
Maybe. I like that Morgan's quote is talking about people changing before, right? People, what do you say? People didn't used to change much. They tried, but it didn't always work out, you know? But now in the apocalypse, all people are doing is changing.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
We've seen that in all these episodes.
He makes a note to say, you know, and it happened, you know, sometimes, you know, like sometimes people did change, you know, that one time or two times in their lives that they've changed.
Right.
But 16 different somebodies. And it's true. Like, you know, we see him flip back and forth between these different levels of Morgan. The things that define him. Clear mode Morgan. Benevolent Morgan. All life is precious Morgan. Help somebody Morgan. Take what you need. Leave what you don't Morgan. Yeah, all these. And redirection Morgan. Oh my gosh. You know, it's kind of true though. The way he even delivered that line. It's like, I've been sick. And it's like, it's almost like Lenny James is going like, when will these writers write me consistently? When will they write me consistently? I've been 16 different somebodies, god damn it. Pick one.
Right. No. And he's worried that he's not going to be the same guy that everybody remembers. I mean, really, I think he's most worried about Grace, what Grace is going to think about him. Yeah.
And, you know, and I kind of wanted to mention that, like, in relation to that, we said the same thing, or I did at least, no, whatever, with when it came to Michonne trying to find Rick. You know, if you had to murder tons of people to get to him, what was it for? You know, Rick asks you, what did you do to get here? Who did you have to be? And then you start to wonder, you start to take a little step back, and then you start to see, oh, wait a second. But Victor said that in the last episode. He said, I want to be the kind of man you can look in the face and be proud of. Dwight himself just said it last season when we meet him. John Dory and June take a chance on him. He says, you know, after like a lot of back and forth and trying to find fuel in a car, trying to get back to everybody in June and the radioactive explosion, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, even when John is almost about to give up hope, you know, like he sees the candy and whatever moves on, and he learns something from John. He says, you know, like, I want to be the kind of man that Sherry can look in the eye and say, you know, that she could be proud of me. A lot of people kind of feeling that way, you know, and you see this come up every now and again, like people making up for things that they, you know, that they did, and, you know, never knowing that they'll never make up for it, but at the same time, you know, try to be something that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, somebody can look you in the eye and say, hey, you know, you did it, you know, you tried to be the best thing you could be. And so, yeah, you see Morgan wrestle with this idea that, like, and going back to holding baby Gracie, baby Morgan. Isn't that funny? Baby Gracie. Morgan wants to be with Grace. Then you have baby Morgan, baby Morgie. Anyway, that's a weird parallel.
Sharon D looked it up. It was Eastman who said that to Morgan.
It was Eastman, wasn't it? How odd that Eastman was right. You know what's really funny about the name Eastman, not to sidetrack a little bit? Like, Eastman is a Jewish name, by the way. Oh. It's a weird, Eastman is a Jewish name. The name in Hebrew is Mizrahi, or Mizrahi, meaning of the East. Like, okay. Yeah, I thought it's just a weird thing. And of course, what does he teach Morgan? Like martial arts from the Orient, you know, oriented in the East. That is really funny. Anyway, good call. Thank you, Sharon D. That was awesome. That was really cool. So he doesn't want to carry baby Morgan because he doesn't want to fulfill Eastman's prophecy until the job is done. I think that's part of it, and that he's sure that everybody can look him in the eye by the end of it too, especially baby Morgie. The only thing left to really discuss with Morgan is his new weapon. Thoughts?
Love it.
Yeah?
Love it. Yeah.
When I first saw him putting it together, I didn't really think anything of it. I thought the axe was fine the way it was.
I like the symbolism though, the old with the new and keeping that part of himself with the new part of himself. And, he literally merged his past and present. So I liked it.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
Yeah. And it's funny, like the end that broke off in it, that he used to stab Emil, he uses the joining part to the axe. So, but obviously with little whittling down and slotting things in just right. Yeah, no, when you actually get to see that sequence up close, it does look kind of cool. It looks somewhat imbalanced. Oh, he did not keep the blunt end for the humans. No, he did not. If you look at the last, one of the last few frames or last few bits of the sequence, there is no blunt end. He whittled that end down. It does come to a point.
Ooh,
so,
I did not notice that. I liked watching him swinging it around.
Yeah, she calls it his bow axe.
Bow axe.
But it's not a fine point like Jesus's end, whatever. I don't know, one that Jesus says, pointy end for the dead. But it does come to a point, and so which further highlights the fact that this is definitely somebody else now. From the top of the scene where you're seeing him smile, and by the way, not hesitating from saying Dwayne's and Jenny's names. This is something he's had a hard time recalling, but he belts out Dwayne and Jenny right away, talking about her, not having a hard time. Like freely offering this piece of him, which was so difficult for him to do before. I just kind of did a double take when he did that. I'm like, oh, talking about Chinese takeout, filling Jenny's belly, while Dwayne was inside her and everything. It's really funny.
Right. Well, he has a unique opportunity with Rachel because she has no idea who he is other than the person who helped her husband. I think he, maybe feels like he can be more comfortable around her. She doesn't know anything about his past or what he did or what he was. So,
but you could have said the same about Grace last year.
Yeah.
And yet that was so difficult. Like, I'm just, you're having that little flashback. Oh, yeah, it was. Like pulling fucking teeth. But,
well, the first time we met Grace, she made Morgan strip down naked. So not the best first impression.
Or maybe the best impression. And yet, yeah, exactly. But so from the first scene, almost a completely different Morgan. And not hesitating from just saying, yes, he's my friend. Yes, Daniel helping me smuggle all the shit. Yes, you can trust him. Confident Morgan. And then all the way till the end where you see him fashioning this weapon, this hybrid Frankensteinian weapon, confident, practicing with it. And like at the end of it, I wrote, oh, it's not defense Aikido, it's attack Aikido. Something I've mentioned on the show before, like the different versions of pre-war versus post-war Aikido. Pre-war is attack, post-war, World War II is defense, or World War I can't remember which. I'm scared I'm not going to be the man they knew. Mm-hmm. And then Rachel says, maybe you've changed, but you're still the man they knew. I think
a lot of people would relate to that, right? I mean, most people are who they are at their core, but people do a lot of changing as they grow up and, meet new people and have different influences. But at the core, you're always who you are, I feel like.
Well, yeah, and find themselves too, like who they want to be, who they want to be in the eyes of others, at the end of the day.
Right.
So
Morgan's always going to be the person that protects his family and who he considers family.
At
the way
core.
He goes about doing that may change, but he'll always be the protector.
There are very few things that stay with Morgan. This is one clear present thing. He does not shy away from helping people. Essentially, you can hide, but you can't run, Morgan.
Morgan's so worried about changing himself, but when he finally catches up to the gang and gets everybody back, they might not be the same people anymore. Ooh, that's a scary thought.
That's true, and especially when you start seeing the sneak peeks for John Dory next week. Yeah, he's doing some heavy lifting, wrestling with himself. Although that brings up another question: if you had the opportunity to see John Dory literally wrestling himself, Garrett Dillahunt, I would watch that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be very entertaining.
Little baby oil, right?
I've seen a mud pit, but okay.
Oh, okay. You like the filthy? I like the shiny abs of. Or maybe he wrestles his stuntman. Let's split the defense. Let's break even here. This is my ideal me. This is real me. Still not so bad, but this is obviously better. That brings up a good point because like most people so far are 2 out of 3 are worried about how they're going to see the changes. How they're going to perceive the changes. I wonder if that's going to carry through to the end too. And we do get a peek of the rabbi, by the way, in the next episode. Rabbi Jacob Kessner, it seems like.
I didn't want to watch the next time on, but I did.
Yeah. But going back to the title sequence, which kind of relates to what we're talking about, so far the colors have been red, blue, and green. So somewhat primary colors, you know. Althea's being the green. Yeah, green. She has her stabby knife and the camera in hand. There's a telephone pole in the background. There's the building in the distance. And interestingly enough, what's weird is that we were able to cover The Walking Dead World Beyond before this episode. And now I'm starting to wonder we should continue doing it that way. World Beyond then Fear, because what's in the air, circling around in the air near the sun. But
was there a helicopter?
No, but hawks.
Oh, okay.
And what was the high school mascot?
Hawk. Yeah, they were hawks.
And what did we discover about the hawks?
That they're carrion birds.
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, we call them secondary consumers.
Right, secondary consumers, but still, if given the opportunity, they would eat them. They would eat their own, you know, or their species. Oh, so yes, the title cards, and that's true. Oh. Sharon says the title cards seem to be reflecting the general color, the color grading of the episode. So yes, the first episode did tend to the red/orange/yellow.
Green can also mean jealousy.
Yeah, green with envy. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And but this episode was anything but. Holy shit.
Well, I mean, think about what's going on between Dwight and Al. In the beginning, I'm not going to say Dwight was jealous, but I do see him having more hope for Althea than he does himself. I mean, he says, I've made peace that I'm never going to find Sherry again. So I feel like he's almost pushing Al harder to find Isabel. Like if she can find Isabel, then I still have a chance. Like, even though he's kind of pushed it down, like he's still trying to, like, if she can do it, maybe I can do it type of thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I was thinking that as well. But I think, I think there's something to that, like the idea of like maybe a karmic return for him, if that's even possible. But I do recognize there is something really fucking zen about Dwight. I do feel like this is a man who has written off the idea of seeing Sherry again. Like, as a matter of course, it's like, look, if I'm not, you could see that all throughout the episode. Dwight wants to follow protocol technically. He doesn't want to break the rules. He wants to keep his friends safe. You know, he's also interested in like the idea of helping, like almost being in service of Al. And there's something that we have to kind of take a moment to remember, in that Dwight spent so much time, 2+ years in service of a shitbag, not helping others. Although, even though technically they were the saviors, he felt like, who the fuck was I saving? And who was I in service of? And I had to give my wife up, anyway, to a man who was claiming to save people, and yet he just created misery wherever he went. And here he is with this opportunity to help people, first with the gang, obviously, but now even here, like he throws himself in his work. He tries to be this moral, friendship support for Al, he just throws himself into trying to help Beer Lady, help him reconnect with Beer Lady. You could see he just doesn't hold back. There's no resentment. There's no jealousy. I just feel like that's like, you know what? I know I'm never going to find her. This is how I feel he puts it. I know I'm never going to find her, but part of me wants to live through the idea that maybe you can find her, and you seem to be putting a lot of work into it. It's taken me this long, however long it's been, he's been out on the road.
Yeah.
And so let's read it with Sharon. He says, he may have said he made peace with it, but I feel like he still hoped that maybe if he helped out, it would be good karma for him to find Sherry. I think he's telling himself he made peace with it. I wonder if seeing John and June shape some of that feeling. I think he said that last year, though. He said that he made his peace with not seeing Sherry. I think him hallucinating the last year might have thrown him for a little bit of a loop, though. But I think he kind of resigned himself to saying, I'm not done looking yet, but I might as well act like I may never find her, since it's been so long, and I feel like the trail ran cold, like really fast. That little restaurant, then finding the infinity symbol on the pad and everything, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like
he's not going to keep looking, but he hopes to see her again, but he's not going to go out looking for her like he was.
Yeah, let her come to me, that sort of thing. Like, if I happen to find her, fine. But like at the same time, there's also, again, going back to the Saviors, I think there is part of him that is resigned to the idea of, this is the life I led, and I spent a lot of time doing this. Now I've spent a lot of time, I think probably about the same time he was with the Saviors, that he's been looking for Sherry. It seems right? Yeah.
Well, just if you lose something around your house, as soon as you stop looking for it, you find it, right?
Yeah, it turns up.
Yeah.
3 years later. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes you're like, that's where I put it,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, there was Sherry. She was under the couch the whole time. Ugh, gross. We have to get through the funeral home, okay? Because I don't know if you noticed, like, because there's a few things you can pick out from that scene. First of all, your world building a little bit too. Like, how long have these guys been out there? What is the nature of their friendship? And you realize they've made a game together. They are in this particularly cool position of not having to be in the settlements, so they're not held to certain scrutiny. And I feel like that goes to their nature also, because think about the kind of person Al is, the person that kind of likes to find the truth, blah, blah, blah. You know, she's not in it. She's not going to be the hero. You know, she's not going to get involved. Ginny knows that.
She's not supposed to anyway.
Yeah. And Dwight was, now correct me, everybody, if I'm wrong. There was some bit about Dwight and Ginny, and yes, he gave it to her at the, like, near the end of season 5 when she was saying, oh, I heard Sherry broke bread with one of my people or something like that, right? Something like that. Somebody we knew. Yeah. And he kind of threw it back at her and said, fuck you. I know the kind of person you are, Virgin Negan.
Right.
But then also, I feel like there is a part of her that saw him hesitate as well. That,
like believing it for a moment?
Yeah.
There's still a chance it could be true. I mean...
Yeah. And we don't know the extent to which Sherry has her mitts, or they have their mitts in Sherry. I say this only to say that Ginny knows who she's dealing with. She's dealing with somebody that may resign himself, just like he does with Al, to service, to helping others. And she's going to take advantage of that and give them... And I say this because they have autonomy. You know, as long as they check in, you know, they don't have their boots on their neck like they do the other people probably in these communities, like John, like Victor, like Alicia, or like Charlie, like Janice. So, I mean, when you see them together, they're kind of like buds having fun, making messes, you know, doing their thing. I kind of liked that. It was a nice break from the oppression. Yeah. It felt like. I know. What did you think of their general camaraderie?
I like those two characters together. I think they fit well together. They're kind of an odd couple, but they make it work, you know?
Yeah. But
they're funny. They're funny together.
That's the
thing.
thing.
Each other shit.
I mean, think about like the kind of character Dwight was, like constantly like stuffing his, like barely any dialogue because he had to keep his mouth shut all the time. But now you get to see this character that we're practically inventing. Like there was no it's like seeing Morgan smile and laugh. It's like, we don't know this Morgan. We don't know him. If it's the first episode, he was just this depressing figure. Like, oh, I gotta keep my son safe. And oh, my son's dead. Ah, clear Morgan. You know, like there is no happy Morgan. Now we're finding happy Morgan. And then also... But seeing Dwight smile is just this weird thing that we're taking for. I don't want people to take this for granted. We're seeing. I mean, like you said before about we're not sure we've seen an evolved Althea, and you know maybe a little bit, but we sure as hell have seen an evolved Dwight. We got to see a lot of that last year, but this is like joking around. Hey, bud, I'm saying I love you at the end.
Right?
I couldn't not say that. But like the idea of, just to say that this is something we have to appreciate, is that it's not coming from nothing.
Right.
You know? Or no, I'm sorry. It is coming from nothing. It's completely fabricated, which is great. There's dimensions, there's layers, right? Let me read Sharondy's comment. I like them together, period. I'm glad it was a situation where we didn't have to feel pressure to have a romance. Oh, yeah. Good point. But
I like those kind of scenarios too.
But a brother and sister.
Yeah, that was really sweet. They definitely act, you know, like siblings.
Yeah.
Competitive with the driver's license thing, but, you know, giving each other shit and still love each other. It's pretty much what me and my brother would do.
Yeah. Kick each other's asses. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but speaking of eyes and watery eyes now, going back to the funeral home as a setting, rather than taking it for granted, did you notice that the walkers all had glass eyes?
No.
They looked like they all had glass eyes.
Really? What did that look like?
They had these clear, not hazy walker eyes.
They looked like people eyes, like healthy, alive human eyes? No, I did not notice that. That's crazy.
Watch that shit again, and you'd be like, "Oh wait, yeah, they look like they look like they are people with masks on." But there's a reason for that. Let's put a pin in that, and let's move on. And I'll tell you, I'll backtrack because when Al goes to the basement, obviously, Dwight takes the second floor. You see the embalming room, right? This is a funeral home, and then while Al's busy going, "Oh, I gotta see you, Isabel. Oh yeah, what? Dropside Baker? What? Ground? Was it ground team? Was it ground 17?
Yeah, ground 17, the ground control.
Yeah, ground control 17.
Every time I started singing the song.
Commencing countdown, Baker B. Anyway, so she doesn't quite almost bite it, but in walks this. What we saw, who's this? I love this because last week everybody was being like, who's this woman? Who's this woman in the next episode? Like, oh, who's she gonna be? Like you see like the woman going, and then like, and everybody thought, oh, she must be important. No, she's dead.
Oh my gosh, I freaked out. I was so excited when I saw that, and I'm like, this is two things. First we get the Wasp Walker on World Beyond, and now we get an Embalmed Walker on Fear. Like they will never stop surprising us. Like just when I think we've seen all the kinds of walkers we can, I was so excited. I loved it.
It's so crazy because here's the thing, like in 10 years you would think we've seen it all, right?
You would think, yeah.
And I'm like live tweeting, like I'm because I don't really live tweet the night of usually. I just kind of like reply to people and all that stuff. But like somebody said like, oh dude, and that taxidermied or embalmed walker, if you want to call it that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I wrote back, I'm like, you would have thought that like in 10 years we would have seen something like this already. But like no, but here we are. And like the reason why she couldn't open her mouth is because it was wired shut. And then she could open her mouth, and that was gross because like the gum was hanging on the wire there. It was gross.
No, I'm picturing a scene in my head. We have been in a funeral home before, though. In general, we've just not seen an embalmed walker.
Yeah, the TWD just didn't have the stomach to go there. Apparently,
right, but they were in a funeral home at another point, right?
Other than Beth and Daryl?
Yes, it was Beth and Daryl. That's who it was. Yeah, I'm like, I picture her sleeping in the casket, and yes, okay,
and then being taken away by that weird ass looking hearse for Grady Memorial. It's an ambulance, sure. It's probably from the morgue from the other hospital, but anyway, and Sharon's saying they put gauze in their mouths to stop the fluids from leaking out of the mouth and nose. Yeah, and that's the thing. So when you walk in to the embalming room place, the treatment area, let's just gonna call it that. What's the first thing that you notice?
In the embalming room, the bleach hanging upside down.
Yeah. Does that not look jerry-rigged to you? Whoever was inside the funeral home took the time to, first of all, maybe kill all the people that were there because he had time to scoop out the eyes and put them in. Because it looks really freaky.
I gotta go back and watch it again.
You gotta. And you'd be like, oh shit, you're right. They look all glassy like. And then when you look at this just really well treated woman who happened to recently die, probably sewed the mouth shut, had enough time to sew the mouth shut, embalm the guts and fluids and all that stuff, and replace it with that homemade bleach container. It's just, you can tell, like even Dwight says, what kind of psychopath would do that? So yeah, serial killer.
Well, at first I was thinking maybe she was just on the table when the apocalypse happened. Like maybe she's just been there embalmed this whole time.
For 10 years. Well, I don't know how.
I don't know how long that stuff lasts. I don't know if it does, or I don't know if it would break down. But then he said that, and I'm like, okay, so some sick psycho embalmed a walker, like. Well,
and then you look at all the other walkers, and you're wondering, oh gosh,
how would you do that?
Yeah, like somebody must have taken the time to murder all these people and do something before they turned or something like that.
I was going to say she would have had to been embalmed before she reanimated.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Right. Like picture it this way. What this guy did was they must have been. Let's just pretend. Let's pretend with Dave. They all 15 people were living there, or maybe it was 16.
Yeah, maybe.
And one night, after so long a time of living there, one of them goes fucking, because they're in a funeral home.
Could have been a team. maybe not even just one person, because they did mention 15 sleeping bags, and Dwight says, how many did we take out? And Al says, not enough. That's not enough. So maybe it could have even been more than one person. Yeah, right. I know that cracked me up.
Sharity's saying it's Dakota. Like, yes. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Just don't keep your eye off that bitch. God damn it. Anyway. But you know, the idea of
also, thank you, Charity. She says fear is about 4 years into the apocalypse.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna say about 5. I'm gonna say Makusa. The reason why I say that is because I enjoy the idea of Dwight having been with the Saviors just as long as he's been out there. But
2.5 for each.
But then again, timelines, right? Timelines. Charity says it 5 and 9. Right. Tess says she'd been out there for out in the house for 2 years since it started. It literally can't be, though. There's a reason why it can't be, and that's because we find Morgan 2 years after the apocalypse as well.
Well, I think I remember talking about that episode, and I think it was said that her time frame could be off. If you've really been in your house for 2 years, can you trust the time? You know what I mean?
Right. Like, can you?
It feels like 2 hours, 2 years, but who knows, really? Right.
Because you gotta replace that calendar with the next year's calendar, and if you're diligent enough,
sort of like the princess situation. You know, she thinks she's been out there this long, but it could be way longer.
Yeah, and we know for a fact that it's been at least 2 years for the beginning of The Walking Dead, and you know, even before, right? Till the end of All Out War, which Morgan crosses over, and so you know, it had to have been more than 2 years. Had to have been. So and as we discovered also, like there at least in season 5 or season 4, there was a bit of timey-wimey nonsense going on. So
we could go all night on timelines.
Yeah, but the closest that we get to any sort of timeline is when you watch the Samara video from the Althea tapes of last year. That's the close, because she actually accurately says how many days it's passed since the fall. Okay. So if you watch that again, you'll know exactly when we are, at least from that point on, down to the seconds.
When that tape was taken, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. From then on, but from then on, we just have no idea. It's been, 3 months, 2.5 months, let's say? Yeah. So from that point, maybe, yeah.
So I thought it was kind of funny, the beer that Dwight finds is not a real beer.
Of course not. No, like Smeat. No,
but it's called But it's called Fueler beer. Fuel, like fuel. Fueler beer.
Is that like? Yep. It's like the Fuhrer. Is like.
Maybe, but I wanted to look it up and just see if it was if it meant anything at all. And I actually found the Sierra Nevada Brewing Company actually figured out a way to turn over its leftover beer into fuel.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep.
It did look like one of those like it's like one of my favorite beers, the white Belgian wheat
top fuel. Yeah, Charity. I also found the top fuel beer too, but but it wasn't quite the same. So not Fueler beer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hogarden. It looked like the Hogarden font. I don't know if you ever had it. Yeah.
Okay. No.
But anyway, yeah, that's kind of cool though. And you know what is Ginny all about? Fuel. You know, the major asset. Yeah, and it probably tasted like fuel too.
Yeah, probably.
I just like that Althea was able to to guzzle down that beer better than Dwight. Something about Althea being way tougher than Dwight.
Right.
She's been all over.
I love that he brings up the pretzels too, right? It'd be better with pretzels, Sherry always says.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just the recurring theme of pretzels. And then also German beer, maybe. Pretzels, German beer. Fueler beer! Eat it with pretzels! Why not? What else you gonna do? It's the apocalypse. How cool was the opening scene when they're outside the building, or when they're about to approach the building? The first thing you see is something we saw in the teasers, actually, initially. Remember we were talking about, it looks like his bony legs are sticking up. What's that all about? Yeah. And then all of a sudden he switches to another view, and then you see the foot stomp. What we find out is Mark Smith's head.
Yeah.
Cool. And also, like, did you notice that there was like a noticeable kind of weird squishiness to it? Like when Dwight kind of stomped on
I didn't look to it. I'm sure it's whatever the prop material is.
Oh, but like he stepped on it and then he stepped on it some more. There was that like little bit more give. I got just kudos. It just felt really gross. Like, but yeah, you find out that like not only was Mark shot on the roof, he fell off. And I don't know why I'm laughing. Very serious. It's very serious. It's like, Yeah, Sharon D says, Dennis said he wouldn't dirty his boots like that. I agree, by the way. I was thinking that. I'm like, really? Really, Dwight? You gonna walk around filthy like that?
Yeah,
I mean... What, are you born in a barn?
It clearly wasn't a threat. You
Yeah.
could have used a different weapon. You didn't have to dirty your boots up.
I'm just surprised. Look, I'm surprised that the walker actually kind of survived the fall, too. Just thinking about it, like, oh, God, can you imagine? Could you imagine if, like, Mark kind of survived the fall in a weird way? Oh, God, and he died with his legs all broken like that?
I don't think you're going to survive a 30-story fall.
Oh, I've heard stories. You know, like those people who...
That would be terrible.
Who like, skydive and then survive, but, like, it would have been better if they died?
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I know some people like survive and then survive and like thrive, and it's just this weird, really weird, freaky thing where, like, you know, the chute doesn't open or the chute goes out, and, you know, they there's some break in the fall, but the chute doesn't work and rips away from them, and they bounce when they hit the earth. It's like that with these weird stories. God, because I mean, like, but also kind of reminds you a little bit of Jim, like how he jumped off the roof of the hospital just to hit the alarm on the car below. I don't know, some little callbacks like that. You know what I mean? It's funny. Mark's license expired 9/24/2016.
Oh, you saw the 6, Sharon D? I have a question mark there because Althea's thumb was covering it.
You know, it might have been in a later frame when she gave it to
When
Nora.
she handed it to Nora, yeah.
And I believe he got it in 9/24/2008, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Oh, it's a 20-year license? Oh, wow. That's
20-year license? Holy crap.
Oh, so 2006. You know, I did see a reference to... Okay, so remember when Nora was talking about the holiday party in 2008?
Yeah.
Okay, again, an interesting thing that's going on here that coincides with our Walking Dead World Beyond. What year is the yearbook that Iris is eyeballing the whole time in that last episode?
Is it a 2008?
It's a 2008 yearbook.
Is it? I didn't see a year on it.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the spine, and when she's holding it just before they start fucking off on all these different places. She's holding it like and you can see the 2008.
Okay.
It's kind of cool. I like how there's these little parallels, which makes me wonder.
Should the apocalypse happened in 2008?
No, because I mean the yearbooks come out just after, like, right? Isn't it just after they graduate or something like that, or maybe just before they graduate?
Yeah, yearbooks are usually towards the end of the school year because you want to have everything that happened in that year in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So usually right before graduation.
I'm going to venture
or the end of the year anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody.
You know, it's funny. Like, maybe it was 2008, but I wonder. Yeah, but you know, it seems to me that like the holiday party would have been a little bit like way before when the fall happened. But you know, I don't know. Maybe it is 2008. Like, obviously they go to the building because Dwight eggs Althea on, says, "Hey, fucker, I would hope that if there was a chance of me finding Sherry, you would fight me." You know, but something just before that, Al mentions like this weird thing, like, you know, it's kind of like this sad irony that she's cataloging the dead when before she was cataloging the living. You know,
I made the same note.
Getting the survivor counts.
Well, when Nora delivers her line, I wrote how ironic that she's saying this to Al because Al is the one who captures life. Her whole, you know, reason for being in the beginning when we met her was to capture these stories and spread the message of life. And now here she is collecting the dead.
Yeah.
And recording the dead.
Right, and it comes back. You know, that's what, like, she's even saying, "Oh yeah, that must be so sad." That's what your life is right now. I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit because there is this weird torture that Ginny is kind of like. Yes, she has full autonomy with Dwight out in the wild. You know, same as like a freelance journalist. You know, like going out everywhere, just doing her own thing, taking the jobs she wants. But like, it's the torture of cataloging the dead rather than the living. It really does make me think about like how clever Ginny is, like how much she knows this is exactly the thing she wouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, something really clever about that. I mean, she does give her Dwight to entertain her, but at the same time.
Clever or malicious?
No, clever and malicious. Malicious.
Yeah.
No, it's something that's going to keep coming back every now and again because we see that these people are specifically put in circumstances like throwing Strand and Alicia off balance by bringing in a brain dead Daniel in. Like,
right.
a forgetful Daniel, and seeing that, oh, I've got him wrapped around my little finger. If it wasn't for the fact that he could cut hair, he'd be in the ground. He'd be Walker Chum or Cadaver Chum.
Right. I know. I don't want to give Ginny all the credit, but I think she's smarter than I am giving her credit for. I just wanted her to be this, pompous, cocky, shoot from the hip kind of leader that thinks she knows what she's doing, but really doesn't. But that's not how it's shaping up.
Right. There is something twisted about the way she's forming her community.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, this could be so much better, and yet it seems like this is a lot of work. I wonder why, though. And this might go to maybe what we eventually find out is the sympathetic part with Michonne, with Scars. Like, we find out eventually that the goodwill does run out in some weird way. Like, when she takes in Jocelyn and the kids, and she ventures out and blah, blah, blah. And this is an old friend that she was supposed to trust. Maybe something similar with Ginny, where there's somewhere along the line somebody hurt her, or maybe Georgie hurt her, because we are talking about the keys, and the next episode is the key. And I wonder if that ties in somehow with that idea of Georgie, Pamela Milton, the Commonwealth, something. And what we do know is that the Commonwealth and Virginia's thing is not the same thing. Again, I have to reiterate that.
No.
This is something Gimple specifically said. These are two different things, not connected.
I think the Commonwealth is going to be even separate from the Civic Republic.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't even think they're affiliated with them either.
The uniforms couldn't have made it more clear. Right. These people want to be seen. These people, if you see them, you're dead. That's, I mean, yeah. But that's the reason why, and this is why I got so caught up with the idea of Georgie and whether she is with the Commonwealth or not with the Commonwealth, because I'm still stuck on this idea that the idea of a key or the key, it can't be coincidence. Which, again, if it is a coincidence, that's fucking crazy. But if it's not a coincidence, then okay, then there is maybe more of a tenuous thread to Georgie and the Commonwealth than I think there is. And again, when Maggie shows up, she's not with them.
Right.
See, I said that just now way cleaner than I did on episode 1016, like episode 101. So, I was like fumbling. I was like trying to put the threads together to kind of like express why it was so difficult for me to believe this or the other. I did it in 3 seconds.
You had your thoughts together this time.
Yeah. It was seeing all these things together and having the additional idea of Virginia. And that was the third piece of the puzzle that I should have included.
Missing piece puts it all together.
Yeah, or at least puts them all apart so that it gives me doubts of whether they do connect. Right. Yeah. So, but I like it because it's that gratifying moment when we finally get that middle piece, and it's like, flip. Oh, it's nothing like I ever thought it was. Like, you thought it was a dinosaur holding a baby in its mouth. No, it's Jesus holding all the children in his arms. I don't know why. Why did I go there? I have no idea. We talked about a P-Rex before the show went on. Yeah. These are things that kind of come in when we're talking about things.
That's how it goes.
So we get to the building, and we notice right away that there is a huge cage at the bottom of the stairwell. Oh, and just before...
Well, before that is when Al and Dwight see the spray paint. The end is the beginning.
Right. Again, we see this, right?
Mm-hmm. I love Al's comment, too. Yeah, the world goes to shit and everybody's a philosopher.
Exactly. Which is what I thought when I saw it the first time in the first episode at the end, or sort of the beginning and then at the end again. Yeah. But then you see the ominous nuclear submarine, and then now you're seeing plague-infested rats. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to get this out of the way now because I'm seeing a pattern here. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Maybe after you lay it out for me.
The key, what some people say, goes to the submarine.
Yeah, okay. I've heard that. Mm-hmm.
Could be for the nuclear warheads that are on the submarine. A plague-infested rats, or bubonic plague to be specific, which, credit to Jessica T. Cos, or Jessica TNY, our cosplayer friend, says, technically the bubonic plague was from the fleas, which bit the rats, which, etc., etc.
Like the people, or handling an infected dead animal.
Yeah, and we're talking about pestilence, right? Mm-hmm. And we're talking about like the Four Horsemen. I get images of the Four Horsemen and nuclear apocalypse, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is a death cult.
Ooh.
These are people who want to hasten the end. You look at the people the psychopath killer that killed all those people in the funeral home, and then I wonder, because the rats made it all the way to Dwight's sleeping bag ahead of them going to the building, so they must have done this in more than one spot.
Right. Where do we know where they were when Dwight says he found the rat? Where was he when that happened? Do we have any reference where he was?
I'm not 100% certain, but we know it was 2 days beforehand, and they have autonomy, so they don't really stay in one place. They kind of move around. Yeah, and they're in the general vicinity. So I mean, maybe Sharondy has an answer for this, but I don't know. But like the general idea is that like these people are going around saying the end is the beginning, and then leaving the mark of these are people who want to hasten the end. I think, in my opinion, so far.
I can see that.
And again,
why fight it? Just everybody die. Let's hurry.
Yeah, the harbingers of doom. Like, why bother? Like they probably see all these people around them going, trying to rebuild it, and then you see, why not be the whisperers and hasten the end? And you see this every now and again, like, some of these people who want to hasten things, and I'm wondering, and I think it's the same people that wear the mannequin masks. I'm getting that feeling, that vibe.
I am too.
And let's further the point. I don't know. I don't want to tie this thread, but I wonder if if not Sharondy. God, I almost called Dakota Sharondy. I wonder if Dakota is with these people. Do you know what I mean? Like you mentioned last time, I was more of the how, but you were like, who wants to rule the settlements, Virginia settlements? Like, why would Dakota want to do that? And I said, I think the want is there. It's just the how. These guys are the how.
Okay, maybe.
Because we do see them invade these settlements. Do you remember the teaser where Dwight pulls back the curtain and he sees the mannequin mask person in the window? The thing
like outside a window?
Yeah, your reaction was specifically, yes. Fuck that! Yeah. Can't get that out of my mind.
Yeah.
But they do invade these settlements, or at least Dwight and Sherry, or maybe just Dwight. I'm not sure, which also makes me wonder what Sherry's been up to all this time. Because...
Oh, definitely.
Because if she's lost Dwight, it may be one of those things where it's possible that she's running with these guys.
It's possible she put those rats in that building.
Yep. Which may throw... Now, this is a very interesting point of view right in the middle, because with Dwight coming back, it's an interesting opportunity for Sherry to kind of now flip-flop back and forth and see that struggle. Like, does she continue being a part of this death cult? Or does she have a life with Dwight? Or does she try to indoctrinate him into this sort of death cult?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're reading what Sharondy says, right?
Ooh, yeah.
She found herself another Negan.
Ooh,
maybe.
Well, and it makes sense why she would, if she put those rats in the building and then saw someone shoot a flare off on top, it would make sense why she'd be checking in with them too, right? To make sure that they
are dead.
Well, yeah, to make sure they don't get out, or give them false hope that someone's going to come and rescue them and then somehow kill them anyway. This
is kind of like something that I want to come back to, because why choose that specific scene for Morgan in the beginning and that specific quote? Maybe you've changed, but you'll still be the man they knew. I feel like this may apply to Sherry as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, sure. And also Isabel, by the way.
Could definitely apply to all of them,
Like, maybe it would have been better to just leave the past. The past is dead. Oh, it's starting to make a little bit more sense now. Maybe the past is dead. Maybe it's better to leave the past in the past. Because Dwight meeting Sherry, and this is something, what's interesting is that Dwight is ready to be okay with Sherry having never seen Sherry again. You could feel it. You could see it. Like, there is no hesitation there. He's like, oh, I just, you know what? I've resolved myself to knowing that I'm never going to see her again, which allows me to be so giving, which allows me to be so helpful and hopeful for you. You have to wonder what Sherry's been up to all this time. You have to wonder, when the idea of possibly meeting Isabel again for Al, what are you expecting? You know this protocol. You know that there's a huge possibility that not only will she gun you down, but all these people in this building because of you. Yeah. So, which makes me wonder, like, wouldn't it be better off, right? Because there's a lot of this theme repeating.
I was a little taken back when Al, when she realizes that these people are suffering from the bubonic plague, and she's like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Get upstairs. And she's like, Ginny's not going to help him. This is a lost cause. Let's go. We got to get out of here. And it's just like that. Like, that's that.
It would have been better for her to say exactly what you said when you first saw those mannequin masks. Fuck that, Dwight. You're like, ugh.
It was scary.
To the bubonic plague, though.
Yeah. I mean, that is pretty much what she said. She's like, fuck this. Let's get out of here. We gotta go now.
The part of Al will be played by Rachael Burt. And action. Dwight, fuck that. Let's go.
We gotta get out of here.
What are you, stupid idiot? Let's go. Anyway, we had our fun, didn't we?
Of course.
Yeah, bring out your dead. Bubonic plague. Nice, Sharon D.
Right.
Yeah, and also Sharon D says maybe the death cult just used the same reasoning as the CRM. They could be a threat. Again, this mirror logic where Sherry's just making sure that they're dead. Isabel's making sure she's never found.
Yeah. I think having heard from Isabel this episode, I think we can pretty much confirm that Elizabeth Kublik was not looking for her at Campus Colony.
I'm still not sure.
I mean, if she's in,
maybe she wasn't looking for her,
and she's reporting into somebody. So these people know where Isabel is. If Elizabeth's looking for her, it's not going to be that hard to track her down.
Well, again, we're talking about timelines though, because let's just use the round number.
You're right.
Let's just use the round number of 5 years, right, for Fear the Walking Dead. Just because it's a round, it's a number. Sharon just points that out for me. Exactly the same.
You're right. I forget that.
So Sharon says, but that's 6 years from now, or 5, or 5, or
5 or 6.
Yeah. So I'm gonna fight people to the death about timelines. No, get the fuck out of here. But there's no point. There's really no point. But let's just put that number in there. And, maybe at some point, maybe in this season of Fear the Walking Dead, she goes AWOL. But she says to the kids that, Kublik says to the kids that she's part of the CRM doing the work, blah, blah, blah. Maybe she's just saying that to say that, but maybe she is actually AWOL. We don't know. That's fine. Who cares? But the idea is, there's no way to really tell. And I like it. I like that it's anybody's game on this one.
I still think she was talking about Iris, but that's just one girl's opinion.
Oh, but you're talking about the end. I'm talking about what she says about Isabel to the girls, or possibly Isabel. We're assuming a lot. Again,
we are.
Doesn't have to do with her at all. She could be completely lying and not have a daughter, period. You can see an army person that's that devoted to being the light and hope of the humanity. And I just lied.
A whole fake daughter. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I even said that. She might not even exist.
Exactly. Now, Sharon D asks a very interesting question. We can go into it now. That's fine. Do you think Isabel recognized Al's voice?
Yes, I do.
I do not.
I do.
I do not. Fight me.
100%.
And that's what it's
going to offer beer to. Specifically, if it were anybody else, she could have said, there are supplies in the crates. Take what you need. She said,
leave what you don't.
There's beer in the crates.
And they did have beer, didn't they?
And she snapped at her.
Cold beer.
She said she snapped at her when I said, I told you stay off this channel. She doesn't want Al getting in trouble.
Yeah.
She knows her. She knows.
And Al knows, you think?
Oh, for sure. Well, I think so.
I think so, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how the captions read Isabel, by the way.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It doesn't say woman.
It should have said
Isabel.
It should have said woman. That would have been way more effective.
Yeah.
For me. Because it was so tense.
Who does captions?
Is somebody who's getting fired.
Well, is it a random person, or do they work for who? Like,
no,
who is this?
They definitely.
Maybe they made a mistake.
No, they definitely work for who they do the work with the show. It's not like AMC
me sitting down and trying to figure out what they're saying.
Because they also have to get the names of the people. Who's talking.
Like Dr. Lila. That name was on screen too before we heard her name out loud.
Did we even hear her name out loud?
No, we don't.
We heard it. We saw it from the captions.
Yep.
Look, many people are getting fired. God, it's a bloodbath at AMC.
That the article that I shared, though, that also includes her name. Her name's in that too.
Wait, because the captions.
Because of the captions, yeah. Exactly.
Again, listen, people are getting fired left and right.
The second time her voice broke a little bit, like she was almost going to cry. You mean Isabel? Her voice cracked?
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear anything. That's the thing. I was so convinced that it wasn't that Isabel did not know who she was. But let's let Dave admit that what you're saying about the cold beer makes complete sense, because I completely forgotten about that from the episode, The End of Everything. Mm-hmm. They crack open this cold, not skunk beer.
Right.
So that does leave an indelible mark.
And they keep reminding you of that because Dwight calls her the beer lady, So that's in our mind the whole time to remind us.
And now you're completing the circle, because I did not remember why. Had no idea why Dwight insisted
she
on
was the
calling
beer
her the
lady.
beer lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I know. Now I know. Thank you. I
think
completely forgot.
I think Isabel was concentrating on keeping her voice nice and calm and collected because she was thinking the same thing I was. Ground control was listening in.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
Which
copy
they were.
ground control? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, we do.
Or ground 17? Is that ground? They call
He's
it
ground
se-
17.
Yeah,
She's ground
like-
17. They're
Yeah.
ground control. You could still amend your... Oh.
Yeah, see the thing, Sharon? Nah, it's fine. It's fine. I can be an idiot sometimes. It's fine. Stupid.
It's going to be extra funny when the video comes out, though, and you're like, no, she has no idea. I'm going to laugh so hard.
I said, no, I don't think she knows. Fuck yourself. Everybody, go die. Go jump off a building like Mark Smith.
Go join Mark.
Now you can add this part to the video if you want to. It's a lot
show
of work.
him answer, and then at the end, show him throwing a fit about being wrong.
Jump off the fucking building, bitches.
You guys, you're
I
so
don't
mean.
care. You go to hell.
Shut up.
It's fine. I don't care if I'm wrong. Go to hell. I'm done. I'm in trouble.
Love it.
It just
Love
goes to
it.
how funny the show is sometimes. Yeah. No, but let's just say, I mean, look, the fact that I even felt that way is a sign of how powerful that scene is. How the thing that I noticed the most, because Isabel plays it hard, just hard. She doesn't crack, in my opinion, she doesn't crack one fucking bit. The concept of the beer, of offering Al the beer, that is the tell. But everything about Isabel's voice is straight, no tells, no gives. Al, on the other hand, you feel the struggle of her trying to tell her, you're the prettiest thing I've seen since the end of everything. You could feel it. I just felt like she was going to say something like that, and she didn't. And the fact that she could make me feel like she was just about to say something that would give her away, that was, I think I hurt myself just now. Ow. It hurt. It hurt just watching her have to force herself not to give anything away because she was about to. And it's the difference between these two complementing each other too, Al and Isabel. Oh, yeah. And of all the states, I wish they ran across in Indiana, but maybe they did that on purpose. Charity says, I'm Isabel from Indiana, and you're the prettiest thing I've seen since the end of everything. In the context of all the states, she should have told her where she was from. No, that's the thing. But that's the thing. Any bit of info would have been a tell, And Al is having a hard time not giving herself away, And that's the thing I love about this character so much. When you meet her, she is just a secret vault. She is a tank within a bank vault. That she is Swati. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But the one thing that gets her to drop all her armor and this is consistent, when she can't help but mention the helicopter in front of Ginny. Mm-hmm. When she can't help but tell, who was it from last year that she told about Isabel? Was it Alicia?
Was it Alicia?
No, it was June. She tells
June.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she can't help herself. She doesn't share anything. She shares her own name. She's so spacey. Althea-centric. I mean, seriously. Yeah. It's the only thing that gets her to drop everything. Just spill the fucking beans. Otherwise she is a tight-laced, tight-lipped, joke-cracking, wise-cracking, fuck yourself kind of person. And I love it. This is why again, let's go back to why I think I like her the best. Yeah, outside of Morgan. That's why she's my favorite character. There's something about people that are so tightly consistent. And let me say something else. Hey, I know I'm going on a rant and a tirade, but I did not like her character in Lost. At all. But seeing her do this, what was that?
Beginning of Lost?
Yeah. She gets pretty quickly. But
I only watched the first ones. I don't remember her.
She hangs on for quite a while, though, I have to admit. But anyway, just comparing that to this is just, I love it. I love how she can, night and day, the kind of character she is. Yeah, she gets killed in season 2.
Shannon from that. Okay.
Yeah, Shannon, that's right. So yes, tirade over. You see the people are exiting the building. People are leaving the building. They're trying to find a place to go. If you hadn't paid attention, you wouldn't have noticed the fact that they're leaving finally after all these years. I think there's something crazy about that. Their convoy may end up growing pretty big by the end of the season if they survive the season. Okay, let me ask you why you think Al doesn't end up going with Isabel, or it doesn't end up giving herself up, and which ends up being the correct thing to do, in my opinion. But let me hear what you have to say.
I totally agree. The whole time they were talking about her flying off with Isabel in the helicopter, and I'm like, what freaking fantasy land are you living in? That is never going to happen, ever. Even if Isabel did recognize you, what the hell do you think you're just going to get in a helicopter and fly where? Where the hell are you going to go? No, that was never going to happen, ever. So I don't know what sort of fantasy island they were building up in their mind.
The cockamamie story.
Seriously, it was never going to happen.
I was seriously screaming that.
Yeah, I was almost a little bit perturbed with Dwight because he kept enabling this fantasy, like, have a beer for me when you get there. Like, no, she's not going anywhere.
Although that was kind of sweet, though.
It was very sweet.
Outside of the cockamamie-ness of it, because it's the only word that makes sense.
It wasn't going to happen. Now, I don't know if Al finally came to her senses and realized that her and Isabel are not going to be able to fly away someplace and be safe anywhere. You know, like hijack a helicopter and they're not going to find you. Oh, okay. But at the end, it's like, I think she does ultimately choose Dwight over Isabel.
Right. The idea of her brother. The brother that she could have been there for.
I think she sees Dwight as sort of a second chance to make up for lost time with her brother.
Right. Because, one of the biggest regrets of how her brother died, she was too busy getting the story, if I'm not mistaken. She was too busy getting the story of the military and the National Guard going at it together. Mm-hmm. And then meanwhile, she's on the other end of a walkie or a phone or whatever, and like hearing her brother's last words.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And she chose the story.
I can see the scene. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she chooses in this moment to not do that. We've seen Al do this before, when she goes after the tapes and they go on a wild goose chase and they drink the tainted water that's in Swati, and they both get sick and Swati runs out of gas, and like all of this was to just get the tapes. This, by the way, which is another Coleman Domingo directed episode, that episode that I'm speaking of.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Nice.
Interesting, huh? And so it's from season 4. Yeah, season 4. Interesting how that gets a return. So, and we've seen it before when the tapes of the bog spill out and he goes, fuck you, how'd you get into there? No, it broke open because the SWAT van almost flipped over. All these different things. And we've seen her be this driven character for the sake of the story, for the sake of the truth, rather than for sense and survival. And here we have this one opportunity, the one time she just pulls back from her I don't need to say ambition, like she pulls back from her, like a lemming or a moth to the flame, where she pulls back finally. She says, no, I'm not going to sacrifice my brother Dwight for the sake of this thing that, by the way, I know it's irresistible. It's like, oh, when are these opportunities are ever going to come around again? There is a point to it. There is something to this idea. But if you think things through, what's it worth?
Yeah.
Is it worth losing your brother? Is it worth possibly getting everybody killed in that building? Is it worth possibly getting you killed because you know that you can't be with her?
Yeah.
You know you can't be with her.
Yeah.
Oh,
is Sharon D saying they were also looking for Cipro in the episode you were just referring to as well? They needed it in this episode.
The fact that there's a little bit of that going on too is kind of interesting as well. Both a Coleman Domingo episode where they needed antibiotics. That's okay. Right. No, Sharon D's right. It is. She does mention Cipro directly. It's the second time they freaking needed that. And then she calls Quinn Cipro. So going back to that point, we do kind of get a weird return, kind of like the way Logan gets this weird second chance last year. If you remember, Logan had the exact same scenario as last year. Oh, sorry. The thing that made him leave Clayton in the first place was this idea of helping people and then not making it in time to help this one woman at the same truck stop as last time. And it happens to be Janice this time. And somebody was there to actually help. And here we have Al in somewhat of a similar scenario where there is a helicopter in the air, and she's getting the last words from her brother again, like instead of her blood brother Dwight. And in this moment she chooses not to go after the story or her story and instead chooses her brother. And had she not, so many things would not have happened. She wouldn't, odds are she would have died. Okay, let's just throw that out there already. The Cipro would be gone. The Cipro in the drop package would be gone.
Oh.
Those people would not have lived. And had she not shot the flare to warn them to not land the helicopter, Sherry wouldn't have seen it.
Yep.
And Dwight would have possibly never have seen Sherry ever again. So it's this weird circle turns, and you know, if Al would have made the wrong decision, everybody would have suffered, like unbeknownst to her, and like
yeah.
But everybody would have suffered, probably including her. She would have been thrown off the building. God, and making her have to do it too, making Isabel have to do it.
Well, and she's assuming that Isabel's alone in that helicopter. Like, I wouldn't assume that.
No,
I would not think that she was alone.
And I wrote it down. Like, no, they travel in pairs. They don't fly alone. She was with a partner last time.
Right. The partner died, but
yeah, but still.
But she was with someone, so I would expect her to be with someone this time too. And what the hell is she doing up there with this giant spotlight on? I kept yelling. I'm like, Al, turn your damn light off. What are you doing? And then she's just sitting like out in the open. Like, I would have been hiding behind something. If I really was going to be waiting for a helicopter, I would be hiding.
Oh, no, she wants her to see her.
I would be hiding. I know, but again, this goes back to Isabel having a partner in the helicopter with her. Like, even if Isabel couldn't kill Al, the partner would, without hesitation.
Yep, all this time she wants to be seen, though. She wants to be seen so they can run away together. She would have killed the partner. But you're right, maybe that would have been a better strategy. But then again, I don't think she was thinking. Again, this goes back to the nature of Al. She just, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I like it because it's like this weird, you know, Achilles heel, fatal flaw of a character who is very, very capable and anchored to her past. She's like this stalwart character that does not change. And you're talking about like somebody who does not change, past or present, is the same person. Which again, like this goes to the nature of these evolving characters. Remember what you said in the beginning where you felt like Al wasn't getting the big evolution.
Yeah.
But like now that we're really talking about this is kind of huge for her.
It is. She had a bit of a transformation, just in comparison to the first two episodes, not quite as grand, I would say. But she did go through it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as grand on the surface, but when you really, I mean, no, and maybe I'll even admit it's not as grand as the other characters, but only in as much as that we've never really seen anything of an evolution from Al. That you get a little bits here and there, but when she relents and finally decides to give up on the Swati, but like even still, she still is that person. Even by the end of season 4, there's a part of her that wants to revisit the people she's interviewed again, but that doesn't really change who she is, essentially.
Right.
One of the big things I said about the Swan Song is her finally putting down the character and being a human. And this is maybe the first step in her doing that. The Swan Song theory, by the way, is something I've mentioned before, is that Al is the sole survivor of the Fear the Walking Dead universe. I don't stick by it, but I think there's a poetry in that. She's the person who has not changed the most. And yet the irony would be that watching her friends heroically give their lives to a greater cause, helping people out, this, that, the other thing, and then losing their lives in the process of would entitle her to finally put the camera down and be a part of a greater story.
And I would 100% disagree. I think it'll be Alicia.
Yeah, I would want it to be an OG, honestly. Yeah. But, you know.
I just think Alicia has what it takes. I think she's capable of making it. I think she can do it.
I don't think it's about that in the end with Fear. Fear is this funny show where you go, my friend Matt is actually liking Fear the Walking Dead, by the way. I turned him onto it. This is a guy that like doesn't like anything, doesn't like The Walking Dead, gave up on it. Stuff like this. Like he texted me earlier today. He said, "Why do I like Fear the Walking Dead so much?" Because he's still in the earlier seasons, and I said, "Oh, because you like it's like more gritty, more grounded, more anchored into like a reality."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But let me read what Charity's saying. Oh my God, I was screaming that too. It bothered me the entire scene, like the scene with why is your light on? Yeah. If Alaska equals the unattainable license, but also the unattainable Al. Al gives up her Alaska so Dwight can find his, and literally gives up her Alaska to the woman whose name I can't remember.
Al literally gives up the Alaska license to Nora.
Oh, yeah. But it seems kind of minor, doesn't it? Like that sacrifice to lose the game.
Well, and especially after the conversation they had about how ludicrous it is to be playing that game in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. But it maybe is that tiny little foreshadowing that like maybe this is not how you want to be remembered. And I don't know. I wish they would actually have said or brought out the idea or she had said to Dwight also, the possibility of her having to possibly kill me is not something I want to have to put her through. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't stop to think about what it would be like to put her in a position where she'd kill the only person she felt alive with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's maybe a missed opportunity, but also maybe one of those things where that might have been a little bit too much of a concept but like, that's why we're here. That's why we do this, so we can bring out the idea. Yeah, it's all fine and good when you don't think about what, like, you're thinking about the consequences to your people, to yourself, to the people around you in the immediate vicinity, but not just that, but the people back home. Like, Ginny is another threat, right? If she runs off. But then when you're really, really not thinking, you're not thinking about what you might have, what your dumb-headed actions, you may have it all figured out for yourself. Oh, the dead body here, we'll put a camera next to it, chick-chack, we're great. Yeah. Okay, but did you think about the people in this building? These people have survived in this building for years. Did you think about what it would be like for Al to have to put you down? What it must be like for her to put you down? That you'd be doing that to her. It's just something to really, really think about. Because in the pursuit of all this, there are some people that say, "Oh, she should have done it anyway," or "Oh, it would have been great if they could get reunited." But then I'm like, no, unless there's a means to be able to do that. And you know what the sad part is? Unless Isabel goes AWOL somehow, we see the CRM in the world of The Walking Dead World Beyond. That's like 5 or 6 years later. Yeah. They carry on. So
then they've been around for a long time, and I'm sure have only gotten stronger.
Yeah. And so what does that mean for Isabel, right?
Mm-hmm. Who knows?
I don't feel good about it. These shows don't give me that much hope to go on. And so Sharon D says, maybe she's like her mother and is getting tired of killing people. Maybe. And so to further the point, you know, can you imagine maybe having to put down people she's cared about along the way? Her partners, maybe things when they mess up, she has to put them down. Actually, that's exactly what happened, isn't it? Wasn't her partner thinking of this place where that he was going to go away when this was all over, like a retreat of some kind, and then she had to put her own partner down?
Oh, I don't know.
In the episode from season 5, yeah, Sharon D's agreeing with me. She had to put down her own partner in that episode because of he was thinking of like jumping ship and had this place all set up all nicey nice. Oh yeah, okay, so yeah, he was going to leave after he got freaked out by the nuclear walkers, and that's why you see him dead in that scene, because Isabel had just put him down. That was her friend. So something to think about.
She knew a lot longer than 2 days, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Specifically, she said she had to take him out because he was carrying maps. Yeah, and which they end up finding the coded maps with the shade square that we're talking about.
Yep.
We got some meat. We got some meat in this episode. Like, yeah, if they would have connected,
kills him because he has the maps, but then doesn't go get the maps off his body because Al finds them.
Yeah, because she, you know, you have to kind of be stealthy, right? But then she finds Al. Oh boy, does she find Al!
I really just had kind of more of a question, or wanted to know your opinion. So the plague walkers that we see on the floor that they're not living in, right? They make it down a level, and then Nora and Al and Dwight are taking them all out. So Nora tells them,
but they were living in,
right? They were living there, and then they had to move. So
to
Nora
haul ass.
Haul what? Haul what?
I don't understand the term, Dave.
We need to speak clearly. I don't understand.
Yeah, this is a serious podcast.
Well, Nora tells us that they've been in there the whole time, right? As far as we know, no one stepped foot outside the building. So all of these plague walkers, they died from the plague, right? No bites. Nobody was bitten. So these people all died and then turned. So these people were infected with the virus right from the beginning of the apocalypse.
Well, they didn't get the plague. That's the thing that really.
I mean, the zombie virus. You know, it goes to Rick's point that we're all infected. When we die, we turn, no matter what.
Yeah. Whether
we get bit or not. And these people are further proof of that. They didn't step foot outside, and they still died from the plague and then turned into walkers.
Is there a question there?
Was there a question?
Yeah, because you said there was a question.
I guess I just wanted to know your opinion. Do you think that some of them were bit and that's how they turned, or do you think they died from the plague and then turned?
I mean, there's a bigger question here too, right? Like if they got the plague, no, because I don't think they got the plague that night.
No,
because they only got it recently.
Yeah.
But like the bigger question you could ask is, why did they look so gross in such a short period of time, right? But I'm just thinking. Yeah, like the short period of time where the rats started infesting this place recently.
Well, I mean, was it recent? We don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't tell a timeline. Well, she said people started the people that were alive started getting sick a few days ago.
Yeah. Oh, you think it happened again? I think those people had got the plague. Oh, well, no, those are plague walkers, right?
Right.
Flat out. So that must have been recently. Here's what I think happened, though. And I'm trying to ask my own question, but also answer my own question because I was wrestling with that also. Like, okay, why do they look so goddamn gross? Then I realized, oh, yeah, the one person died of the plague and they, throughout the night, they start biting people in the face and nose and things. Okay. And then, that's why they look so gross.
Crossed my mind, too. Yeah.
Oh, and Sharon's saying the
pustules had ruptured for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And just so everybody remembers that childhood Ring Around the Rosie song, it's based on smallpox and the bubonic plague and like all these little pus-filled things. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies.
Ashes.
Burning the bodies. Yep. Bodies. Yeah. So grim.
Most nursery rhymes are. Rockabye Baby, come on.
On the treetop.
They're all fucked up.
Oh, God. That was symbolic of the stock market crash in the early 1900s. Oh, God. Yeah. No, actually, I don't know if that is the case, but that actually does make sense.
Yeah.
No, the market is just a baby on a branch, enjoying its lovely little cradle rock. Oh, yeah. Until the market crashed and the baby died.
Yep.
Because the U.S. was a baby. It was just a relatively young country. Anyway, let's move on. What I wanted to take away from that dovetail, I wanted to go back to when Al gives Nora the license plate, because Nora says, please don't record them like that. They don't deserve to be remembered like that. It took me exactly back to 2 seasons ago in Close Your Eyes, the effort that Charlie was taking to recover the photos of this random family that died in this house. Yeah. And the effort she was like wiping down the pictures from all the water and just stacking them nice and putting them into mason jars, like all tightly sealed. And I just love that gesture. Like she was like, if I go, I want to be remembered. I don't want to be I don't want to have the same memory of my parents that is fading. And the last thing that I remember was them turning and coming at me. And it just brought me back to that moment of her barely remembering what they look like in life and it torturing her. Yeah. And I just remember that moment. And I'm like, this is what Charlie was talking about. Like, being in this building with all these people working day in, day out, these people you probably see more than you do your family back home. And watching Nora break down like that, it's like, God, I can barely remember what they look like anymore. All I can see is these pustule-filled walker bodies with their faces half chewed off from the other people that ate them. That's the way I want to remember them. Right. And so I just remember that. That was kind of cool. I wish we'd seen more of that, like on the Walking Dead universe. People like trying to really hard to remember what others looked like before they turned and all that, or like, gosh, like what it must have been like from
just now at a point where they have the luxury of remembering anything, right? I mean, it's been survive and run and survive and run.
Yeah, because there's that simultaneous struggle of like Nora, like knowing what she has to do. Clearly, she's capable. Clearly, but then finally confronting that, like, oh God, I just put down all these people I just was talking to a couple days ago that I've been with since before this fucking thing went down. This 5 or 6 years, or 4 to 6 years that we've been together post the fall when we were working day in, day out before the fall. And so there's just something in it, like, these people have been together longer than Rick longer than Rick's been around. Rick jumped ship like in year 3 of the fall. These guys have been together since like 4 or 5 years, working day in and day out before that. There's just something to that you can't really express in just a tiny little scene. Oh yeah, and Sharon D says it bang on, and like I like how you took it there, Sharon D. That's why I don't look at the deceased at funerals. I don't want to remember them like that. #confession. And what's interesting about that is that Jews, it's forbidden to look upon the dead because of that. It's why we have our 7 days of mourning called Shiva, and Shiva is like technically a variation of the word 7.
Oh, okay.
And what you're supposed to do is literally nothing but mourn. You don't look at yourself in the mirror. There are going to be things that are going to be out of your hands, like not wanting fine to eat, but people are supposed to come over and feed you. All you're supposed to be doing is
family or
yeah, immediate family. So it's brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, wives. So yeah, that's and you're not allowed to look upon them too. Yeah, being in the same room with there's a whole thing on that which I'm not going to get into, but yeah, all you're supposed to be doing is mourning, but looking on them upon the dead is forbidden. It's verboten. Yeah. Except for what's called the Chevra Kadisha. These are people who treat the dead. So we actually don't even use embalming fluid or anything like that. Nothing like that. You go in a pine box and you go in the ground. No preservatives, no additives. No, nothing that would preserve the body. Only things that would actually make the body go to the ground quicker. Like not additives, but like just plain pine box square, like in the olden times, like in the old West. They nail you down, they just throw you in the ground, and that's it. They put some dirt over you, you're done. Not these big ass caskets that don't break down. Apparently, I had not heard of this before, but like in some states, I think you're not like you have to use a preservative unless you have a religious exemption, and even then, like it's only certain graveyards.
Well, it makes sense. You don't want it into the soil. You don't want stuff leaking out and seeping into the ground.
I guess so, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've been doing it for centuries.
Embalming fluid, like extra chemicals, like a human to break down, I think would be fine. But when you pump them with all the chemicals and then that seeps out into the soil, that would be bad.
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah. But that's the thing. Like in some states, you have to use some sort of preservative or have to use a specific type of casket.
Oh, even if you choose not to embalm?
Yeah, exactly. You have to or something. Oh, okay. Unless you have a religious exemption of some kind.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
I only recently learned of this. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I hope they help with the cost.
Yeah, why do people do? I guess it's because just the way I grew up. But like, I always wondered why people do that too. Because they want to see the dead person before they die, or
they want to say goodbye one more time. I guess.
Say goodbye to a picture.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to funerals both with open casket and closed, and then, I mean, my dad was actually cremated, so we had a little memorial table for him, but there was nothing.
Right. I mean, I get that now. I actually wondered why people did cremation too. Like, wouldn't you just want dust to dust? I know. I'll get to it in a second. But you saw it already, so we must talk about it. She says, yeah. She says, haha, but humans today leak out McDonald's preservatives.
Oh, you are not wrong. Oh my God, you are so right.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, McNuggets to fries.
Oh my God.
In gravy we trust.
Right.
Ashes to ashes.
How do you think the drop spot works? I mean, one helicopter comes and drops the stuff off, and then another helicopter comes and picks it all up. Sort of like a halfway point between this camp and this camp or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like, to give you a picture of it, I think it's like how the radio relays worked in Walking Dead Season 9. Okay. You have one person in Tower A relays it to Tower B. That person in Tower B relays it to C. So that's how they can fuel up, fuel back, go back, and and there's this kind of chain of transportation across the country.
I just thought it was weird that, well, not weird, but it was very clear that nobody had actually gone into the building. I mean, all these people were in there, the ones who were still alive anyway. Right. The only person who got killed was Mark, who went up to the roof. I'm almost surprised after they saw him that they didn't go in the building and kill everybody.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, you have to weigh the idea of getting captured by these people over being seen. So, like, okay, you can take them all on. Sure, maybe not. If there's that many of them.
I mean, let's say, for example, Isabel was the one who killed Mark. Why wouldn't her and her partner then enter the building and kill everybody else if they thought people were in there?
Well, the whole point is to not be seen. And the idea that had they have gone in and killed everybody, there was a chance that A, they'd be seen, B, there'd be survivors, C, they might overpower them, B, get a map or some sort of info that these people exist. That's the biggest thing. They just need to know that they don't exist. And the very fact that Mark doesn't survive to tell the tale and they can fly off and be fucked off with, mission accomplished.
I guess I'd be thinking, okay, if he knew we were up here, somebody else knows that we're up here. How many other people now know about us? And how much do they know?
I'll go forward with that and say, like, why didn't they choose a different spot if this happened before, right?
Sure. Yeah. If this was compromised. There we go. Yeah. Yes. That spot was compromised after Mark found out. So why not switch locations?
I suppose the devil's advocate to that, or the whatever contrarian position to that, would be like, it could have been a one-off, and it wasn't worth trying to find out whether or not A, was filled with the dead, and B, if it was filled with people who will end up being dead. at some point from bubonic plague. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those things where you, maybe they've been using the spot for the longest time and just never got found out somehow, which is
maybe their solution was the rats. Maybe they put the rats in there and we're like, well, if there's people in here, this will take care of them. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
My money's going on Death Cult, but maybe. I mean, who knows?
Put on a happy face.
Anything's possible.
Mannequin mask. I don't know.
Anything's possible.
Maybe they are working with this. I don't know. Maybe they're an offshoot of the CRM. They want it to all burn down. I don't know.
The masks again. I remember breaking down the trailer and I thought, I was convinced anyway, one of these horseback riders with the masks on, I thought could fit Grace's physical description.
Right.
Yeah. It kind of to me looked, if not Grace, then definitely at least a woman, I guess. But it was like her, her hair color, her hair length. And I think she almost looked pregnant too, if I remember right.
But you can easily...
It was like a I don't know. Now I'm probably meshing scenes together in my brain, but
now that you're looking at Sherry with her little hoodie, maybe her?
No,
you don't think?
What I'm picturing in my head, the hair on this person is much darker than Sherry's hair.
Okay, that's fine. Fine.
I mean, I'm a hair person, so I notice little differences like that.
I guess so. Yeah, who knows?
Grace is like level 2, and Sherry's definitely 5 or 6.
Oh, in terms of levels of darkness? It's hysterical. So the only thing I have left, obviously, is the idea of Dwight finding Sherry. But just to repeat the point, because Al made the decision not to reveal herself technically, and Isabel made the decision to not reveal herself technically, even though they revealed themselves in their own way, Al's able to get not only cold beer lady, and Cipro, which cures them of the plague, which sounds really funny. They end up leaving the building. Sherry, having had seen the flare, is radioing whoever was on that channel, the same channel, which is also weird a little too. But anyway.
Yeah, what are the chances of that? I'll allow it.
It could have been a wideband channel, whatever. Meaning it goes across a bunch of channels. Are you safe? Like, who are you? Are you safe? Blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just making sure your guys are going to be dead. Whatever. Anyway, honey.
Right.
And then he finds out Sherry, rounds the corner. We see this heartfelt reunion with Dwight, and there's really nothing else to say. All I wrote were the lyrics to the song that was playing in the background, which Coleman Domingo actually did a nice little... First of all, Coleman Domingo in the Instagram takeover on Sunday was prolific, and I don't mean that in a bad way. He gave us so much, from recent behind the scenes and all that stuff to behind the scenes from last year and the year before that and the year before that, all the way down back to Frank Delane. Now, he brought it back he looped it all the way back. Like, he was directing his own Instagram takeover. It was really cool. Because what he managed to do was go all the way back to Frank Delane. And he said, why did I bring up Frank Delane? Because the song that we used... See, when Frank Delane left the show, I went to see him in, I guess it was the UK. And he introduced me to this musician who writes some really cool music. And 2 years later, or whatever it was, we ended up using Jesper Monk's music in that end scene because of that introduction that Frank Delane gave me. So, like, here's another all circle kind of thing. Like, things coming back around. So, yeah, the artist's name is Jesper Monk, Frank Delane's friend.
That's awesome.
And I wrote, everything gets a return. And so the lyrics are, you kept your beauty whole, don't need my help to grow, but I can chat without you, babe. Slow you down. So, like, the idea is, like, and gives me more fuel to the idea that, like you technically didn't need me. And this is Sherry's story all over the place. Like, she managed without Dwight. Dwight hung in there, but Dwight still has value. And maybe Dwight will make her slow down from whatever plans that she has.
Hopefully. It's funny, when I heard it, I thought Sherry finally slowed down enough for him to catch up with her. Like, he found the note and he was constantly like 3 steps behind wherever she just was.
Right.
She finally slowed down enough, and
for him to catch
here
her.
He is. Yeah, here he is.
Or for her to catch him.
Yeah.
Slow down enough for her to catch him. I like that. That's poetic.
Yeah. Ooh. I also felt really weird. Like, this scene really got to me, right? I mean, you see a couple who lost each other and then they come back together. I mean, anybody who's married is going to, like, feel that, right? You immediately are like, oh my God, if I lost, my husband, my wife, and then I come back and I see him and it's like, oh yeah, we love that. But in the midst of all that, like, I like felt really weird, right? Because I'm getting emotional over Dwight.
Yeah.
And I
shitbag like
immediately,
Dwight. No, I'm kidding.
I immediately like flash back to the first time we meet Dwight, or well, not the first time, but one of the big first times Dwight has a big impact on us, and that's him killing Denise. And I'm like, here I'm crying. I'm getting emotional over the person who killed Denise.
Who
like,
I
what
was
is wrong
beginning
with
to
me?
like a lot.
Yeah, like what is wrong with me? And what does that say about Dwight's character? That he's really come around enough that I'm feeling something for him.
Right. It's weird, isn't it strange how we picked the two characters to cross over to Fear the Walking Dead, and then also Sherry. She's an add-on. She's a dingleberry in this equation. JK. But like the two people like Morgan and Dwight, people have had really, really complicated evolutions, almost like false starts and changes. And, when we meet Dwight the first time is that like Daryl is helping him out of a situation, and then we don't see him for a little while. He fucks off with the saviors. And then we see him again, and there's this complicated relationship where, turns out the person you were trying to protect initially, that Dwight saved you, and then you ended up fucking off with the saviors. Yeah, Negan took your wife, and now you're in the doghouse with your face half burnt off. So again, false start people that never really had a chance to grow, can now flourish on Fear the Walking Dead. And it's kind of like watching a twisted tree. Like, that doesn't look great at first, but then finds its path, Like, like when you see a twisted tree starting out, it just looks kind of like, oh, this isn't really much to look at. It kind of looks actually gross. Yeah, it looks awkward, right?
Awkward, yeah.
But then eventually you see that tree kind of widen up, and all those little knots you thought were awkward are actually kind of beautiful. Like, once it's matured and darkened and gotten some hardness to it, and the leaves start sprouting out. And so there's this weird thing when we see people like that, you almost appreciate where they've come from and where they've gone, and you want them to succeed merely by the sheer fact that they've taken this weird, twisty, windy, grindy evolution, and it surprises you still.
Yeah, I was surprised at my own reaction.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Sharon was saying just before the little guttural noise Dwight made before he asked "honey" was like John's "whew." I remember it because right before he told June to live without him, but mirrored, in a weird way. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. To go on without it. Oh, and this was like, I remember saying this last year. Which is fitting because John is kind of who brought him to their group so he could find Sherry. Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Oh gosh. Stop it, Charity. Stop it, because I know where this goes next. And I don't like it because now I can't stop thinking about it, which means I have to share it. What if Dwight finds Sherry, and then the mirror to that is John losing June?
She got mad before you even said it.
I'm mad.
They can't do that.
That's the thing. I'm mad having to bring this up because now it's like, now you forced me to confront this idea because there is poetry in it. There's a poetic license to the idea that this could exist. But okay, forget that shit. Fuck it. Who cares? I can't explore it because we don't have anything on June. All we have are, again, what we know is a drop. What we don't is an ocean, right? It's like we can say, all roads, the little Vegas pointing signs are pointing to this narrative, but then there's a whole other thing that you just don't take into account because they've already built up this sort of storyboarding for the next couple seasons, or next couple seasons. I'm already assuming next couple episodes. And she was saying how I've been talking since the previews about how it's mirroring Laura, the idea of finding Dory. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's more complicated than what we might be thinking is the way it's going to go down between John and June, or if there isn't any in between or between John and June in this season. They have to see each other again before they die. Yeah, and Charity's like, I hope we're wrong. Yeah, of course I hope we're wrong.
Yeah, I do too.
See, this is me. This may not be you. I hope whatever happens goes towards a better story moving forward. Meaning, I would love a situation where everybody survives and people move on all happy and great and awesome. And the rest of the fan community wouldn't, but I would. But I will settle for whatever moves the story in a way that makes it even grander. I'll take it. It's been me all along. That's what I felt.
As much as my heart would break to see Jenna Elfman leave the show, for me, the only two characters that cannot be killed off would be Alicia and Daniel. Other than that, I would find ways to deal with it.
It's so funny. Like, I feel like the two people who actually have immunity from dying, can you say it? Aside from Alicia, just Alicia, whatever.
Daniel and Morgan.
Yeah, because they don't die. First of all, we've seen Morgan not die a couple times, and then he says it. But then we've also seen Daniel almost die several times.
He should have died a lot.
Oh my God. Shandy's saying what's more interesting is how John and Jewel react with the other guys, meaning the other people they're paired off with in these anthology episodes. Yeah. Or if the other dies, right. Yeah, right. Well, what do they become in their evolution if one or the other dies? Or if one is told the other is dead. That could be really interesting. Now, here's the thing. Remember what I said about John? The fact that June is safe, I think, is the only thing keeping John and a law and order type of man. But if you take that away from him, I don't know what kind of evolution you will get.
He's got nothing to lose at that point.
Yeah, man. He'd be the outlaw.
Yeah. Nora and Al are talking after everything, and she's staring at that poster of Paradise, and Al makes a comment like, yeah, it was never really that great to begin with. And then Nora asks about the place that she's from. Now, this sounds a lot like the conversation Al and Isabel had. And Isabel tells her, like, no, you don't want any part of that. And Al basically says the same thing to Nora, like, it's not a good place. You don't want any part of that.
Oh, like Ginny's where they're from. Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of an ironic conversation. Like, Al almost knows how Isabel felt when they were having that conversation about wherever it is Isabel's from.
Interesting, yeah. Having that mirror conversation. Oh, yeah. Al finds herself in the same spot Isabel is. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Star-crossed indeed, right?
Yeah.
And Sharon is if Ginny kills Wendell, Sarah will lose it.
Oh yeah,
it could be. Oh boy, I mean, I have not been seeing him too much in the promos too, which really fucking irks me. Right?
Well, that could be a good thing though, right? I mean, if they were gonna take somebody off the show, don't you think they would put them in our face as a constant reminder, like, hey, this person's here, don't forget them? I feel like almost if they're not mentioned, it's almost safer.
Well, and Sharon's getting all grim. This is probably where we should let's end the show right now. Sharon's going down in the dumps right now. Because she's saying Chill is a regular on NCIS. It's true, yeah. He's been promoting that a lot. The thing that does, not to be the bearer of grim doom and gloom, but like the idea that Ginny would keep around somebody in a wheelchair from everything that we've seen. I mean, Wendell could be with Luciana to pair him off with her in the oil...
At the oil place?
The oil refinery, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense because I think he was sticking around with her back then. But yeah, I mean, just what we know about Ginny, like the idea of people having a certain level of utility and usefulness to her. And if they're not, they go. Well,
she could also be using Wendell as the same kind of leverage for Sarah that she is June and John.
Yeah, just as a mere body to keep them in line.
Right.
But then again, I guess in when you play chess, though, sometimes you have to know which pawns to sacrifice and know that it's like a Jenga game also, like knowing which blocks to pull away and the structure still holds. So I wonder if Ginny again, this goes to the idea that Ginny's no dummy. Like if she can off certain people that don't have usefulness and will still keep the other people in line in some fashion where she lines it up to where she knows, okay, I can take this guy out easily. And the mere thought of what I can do keeps them in line and keeps the whole thing together. Aces, you know?
Yeah. I know. Like I said, I have definitely, you've warned me week after week not to underestimate Ginny, and I continually do. And I feel like, God, the more we talk about her, it's like she's extremely clever. I hate to say that to describe her, but it's true.
It's a hard thing to admit too. Like, I mean, somebody that you hate so much, it's like, it is kind of like Negan. And this is,
which is the bad guy. You're supposed to hate her.
Well, that's the thing. Like, okay, when we see Rick trying to face off against Negan, he is, the word I used was implacable. He's a wall that is implacable. And every now and again, we get this little bit of hope, and then it's dashed immediately. Technically, like, Rick didn't really defeat Negan. Eugene did. But
true. Very true, yeah.
But the thing is that in the same way that Rick kept trying to go at it, these people know better. I like that they know better than to really do a frontal assault. Rick, it just seems stupid that Rick kept doing things the same way in some respects. And these people know exactly what they're doing. They know not to mess with Ginny too much.
I think Rick is a little insane. That's fair to say.
He's a psychopath.
A little bit, yeah.
But this goes to actually my next thing, and this is probably going to be the last thing if I had to wager.
Yeah, my notes are cached.
Going back to the death cult, the end is the beginning.
Mm.
I can see a world in which, rather than at the last moments, rather than going after Morgan, I can see a world in which finally, in some weird fashion, and keeping in mind that we may find out some things that show the mirror image of Virginia being a sympathetic character and maybe Dakota being a huge dick. But somewhere along the way, we see that. And then we also come to the realization that Ginny may just need the loyalty and goodwill and faith in the people she is charged with to fight this death cult. Because part of the reason why Al and Dwight are out there is to find out why these peoples or these little settlements that don't belong to her are falling. Like, why these people died so it doesn't happen to us. There's this distinct effort to find out why these people are dying, as a matter of course. So when she finds out, I think it may come to dawn on her that there's a force out there that is hastening the end of humanity. And her thing is, it goes against her very ethos, which, look, hate it as much as you want. The whole idea is the idea of the light among nations, is like the idea of she's trying to like preserve humanity in her own fucked up way, but that's the point of it. And if we can't have that, what is the point of it? So she is going to have to probably band together to do that. So the army may not end up being fighting Morgan. This army might actually be, in the end, to find and kill these people, or this small group, or whatever, however big this group is. We've only seen 3 so far.
Sounds like Sharon agrees.
Yeah, exactly. So Sharon is saying, is that who Strand's army is really for? They want us to think it's for Morgan? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, no, and it could be for Morgan. It could be. Why not? But at the same time, she might be forced to change her mind, and maybe even she might have to force herself to suck it up and ask Morgan for help.
Ooh.
And if Morgan is somebody else right now, Morgan might decide to, like, this is like the perfect opportunity to not go down this really fucked up path. So who knows? Again, I bring this up because this is one of those things where, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And if the whole idea is to live, well then, you know, this is the wrestling match that Ginny is going to have to take, because after all the things, the 3D, 4D chess that she is playing to keep these people in line, in comes the wrecking ball, and then she has to decide whether or not she is going to change her tactic and be this flexible person. And this is where we're going to see her either really shine or really show her true colors, meaning she's going to double down. So we don't know where this is going to go. We don't even know if we're right. But I feel like this is a looming threat to everybody. Sharon's bringing up a good point. Like, she'd been throwing people at the warehouse for a long time. The fear version of the Whisperers are these death cult people. Yeah, which we mentioned before. So if she had been throwing these people at this warehouse for a long time, was it all for Morgan? I mean, keep in mind, she's been probably doing this. Had she been doing this longer than 2.5 months? We don't know. Yeah. But I'm thinking, I don't know. It could be for Morgan, or it could always have been for this death cult. Maybe she knows and she's throwing bodies at this death cult too.
She also might just be putting together an army to have an army. I mean, if she's building this community, you're going to want some sort of enforcement, right?
Well, I think the one thing is that Dakota's been mentioning that. Does she mention Morgan specifically? No, to get somebody. There's somebody out there she wants to get, and it's the secret weapon that will defeat them. Right. And you are the secret weapon. Congratulations! Right.
It's sounding like Morgan. Like Sharon D said, they want us to think that
it's Morgan, but it may not be.
But yeah. Or maybe right now Morgan's the focus, but once she realizes this, you know, death cult is out there, she's like, whoa, we got to switch gears a minute.
Yeah, it could be this. So this could be sleight of hand. Yeah, we think it's Morgan, but it's not. Or it could be, it is for Morgan, but then it ends up being everybody rallies together and defeats this other enemy.
Enemy of my enemy.
Whatever happens after that, though, who knows? I mean, again, this is a chance for Ginny to turn it all around. This is kind of like maybe a better, I'm going to say it, but I really am going to regret it. The idea of making a better Martha also. Like the idea of somebody who is twisted, intelligent, whatever, but interested in just making people bend to her will, you know, of what would be a better future, the key, whatever. We are the keys. Whatever. Anyway, so the idea that like now in the face of this threat, does she change, or does she change her ways, or does she relent in some way? We don't know. Oh, wait, we forgot one very important thing. When they were talking about the license plate game, I got distinct feelings, right?
Yep. I know right where you're going.
And the connection to the Walking Dead universe, to Aaron. Aaron said he had a brother that collected license plates.
Yep.
And Althea says that when they were younger, they would spot out license plates and collect them, obviously in their brains, as a childhood game in the car for long road trips in Indiana or whatever, wherever they were from. But I like the idea, or enjoy the idea, that Aaron's last name might be szewczyk-przygocki. And that maybe they're like brother and sister or something like that. And they had a shared brother together named, I think he had a name.
Jesse, right? Wasn't that Al's brother, Jesse?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So maybe they don't talk about Aaron. Maybe Aaron has a brother named Jesse. Well, he mentions that his brother was out west too, meaning probably California. I enjoy the idea that it's possible that they're connected in some way.
See, I guess I didn't really think that they were related in any way. I just liked that they brought the two shows together through that bridge.
Yeah, of collecting license plates and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is pretty common. I mean, I did that as a kid. Me and my brother, or we'd either point out the states, try and find as many different states as we could, or we'd try and make words out of the letters.
Oh yeah, and start. See, all we would do was annoy each other, like find different ways of annoying each other. My sister would always win though, because all she had to do was sing commercial songs. Do 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 ah. Especially with my cousin. If my cousin was in the car with her, like they lived in New York, living with my grandmother also. Long story. But like every now and again, because we lived in Jersey for a little while, so they would take a little break and come down to Jersey, and my mom would go there, pick her up, bring her back. I'd be in both car rides, like hour car ride in traffic through the tunnels and all that, and I have to suffer through my fucking sister, and it just oh my god. And they didn't even sing well. They sung in like an annoying way
on purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
I don't know if they knew that they were annoying me at the time. Sometimes when you just get into it.
Sure.
But it did. Oh boy.
My dad and I played a game. My dad made up a game called American Flag, and you'd have to point out every American flag. You'd get different point values for how big it was, or how far away it was, or how small it was.
Oh, that is so fucking genius too.
So we play American Flag, but it was American Flag. If you said American Flag, it didn't count.
Whoa. Your dad brought in so many levels to this game. It's impossible not to want to play it.
So we developed this game on a trip up to Sault Ste. Marie. He had my dad was a magician. I don't know if I shared this before.
Is that a UP place?
Sault Ste. Marie's in the Upper Peninsula. So I live here in the armpit. We had to drive this way
across the bridge.
to this part. Yeah. And Sault Ste. Marie, I believe, is this way. Hold on. This way. It's like over here, I believe, somewhere in this general vicinity. So it was like, I don't know, 6-hour car ride. We had to do something. So we invented the game American Flag.
God damn. Your dad's a genius.
He really was, yeah.
God, how impassioned. I can see that game like lasting for maybe an hour though, to be honest.
Oh, all 6.
No freaking way.
I mean, we did other stuff, but all along the way, if there was an American Flag, I don't care if he was right in the middle of telling me a story. I would cut him off and point out the American
6th, 7th. Oh
yep.
God! Because like
sometimes people have like teeny tiny American flags on their license plates too.
No,
extra points for small one.
Damn, you're competitive.
Oh yeah.
You see, this is the thing. When you deal with Cameo kids, it's all about being stubborn. If you give us a game and give us too many rules, be like, "Fuck you! I'm not playing this game anymore. Let's make up another." Oh, it's called beating your sister on the arm. Oh, you're gonna sing again? You get 3 punches in the arm.
Oh, you're off key. Here comes another one.
Here comes another. Well, not in the face. What the hell's wrong with you? Never the face. Oh man, that's the funny thing when you have immigrant parents. It's like the thing they get mad about is you hitting somebody in the face. Like that. That's the limit.
Sibling or anybody.
Like you can hit people in the arm and in the leg, and when you hit the face, oh boy, do the belts come out? No I'm kidding. But that's the thing. You just don't do it. So we were told that was the line. It's like if you hit, it's wrong, morally wrong. That was the limit. The face.
I would definitely agree with that. Like if you hit somebody in the face, you're not joking around anymore. Like you don't joke around by punching someone in the face.
Yeah.
Like you can hit them in the arm, in the belly, shove them around. That's fun and jokey. But no, once you hit them in the face, game over. We're fighting for
now.
Real
Now you're fighting seriously.
Now we're really fighting.
Oh God. Anyways, well, we enjoyed you. We're glad you enjoyed our tales of parochial punishment, corporal punishment. That's right, corporal punishment, bad parenting, and even worse, sibling rivalry. So if you like what you heard, rate this podcast at ratethispodcast.com/squawking-dead. 5 stars and an eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. And if you'd like to write more, that'd be great. And hey, if you really, really enjoy our insights into these episodes, feel free to create an account on ko-fi.com and then follow us at coffee.com/squawking-dead. If you buy us a coffee, though, you don't have to. But if you do, you'll get 30 days of access to our unedited recordings, to get a chance to join us in the chat, just like Sharon did today. And also, any little features and bugs along the way that we want to let you know that we're not going to let anybody else know, because we're prideful and we don't want to spill the beans all over the internet and get canceled for some reason. But if you subscribe to a coffee a month, the party just keeps on rolling. In any case, I've been your host, David Cameo. You were joined by CosmoMom09, Rachael Burt, and Sharon D in the chat, giving us the jokes all day.
Right.
And the insights too, by the way. Awesome stuff today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be with you again next time when we talk about The Walking Dead World Beyond's, was it the fifth episode? Fifth? Because they're ahead of us. 5th episode.
Woo.
So until then, speak to you soon. Enjoy. Bye.